A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always tuning us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najma Luima, but first are the headlines. Museveni reiterates as he insists borders should end at 7 p.m. Voters have flocked to the polls in Senegal's local elections. And in sports, Burkina Faso, Tunisia progress to set up quarter-final clash at AFCON 2021. President Museveni has reiterated that his address made on New Year's Eve is binding, adding that nothing changes in relation to opening of the night economy 2 weeks later, which is today. Museveni made the comments at his residence in Nakasero over the weekend. We have more. During his address on the 31st December 2021, Museveni said that the night economy, including bars and discotheques, can reopen for the people 2 weeks after the schools resume on January 10th. The 2 weeks elapsed yesterday on Sunday, blowing the bars open. The president, however, insists that borders will not be allowed to operate beyond 7 p.m. He instead says the committee and himself will review the terms and communicate accordingly. He said that he had seen them protesting in different ways and on media platforms, adding that he had asked the committee to look into their matter. Museveni said that the committee based mostly on the security perspective rather than the health perspective to stop borders at 7 p.m. Museveni added that he had asked them to leave the security and look at other perspectives, promising that they will review it and communicate. Forum for Democratic Change Party President Patrick Oboi Amuriat has praised the late Bank of Uganda Governor Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebile for having struggled to stabilize the shilling, whose value had been depreciated against the dollar back in 2011. Nalugo reports.
While addressing journalists at their party headquarters in Najjanankumbi, the FDC party president Patrick Oboi Amuriat said that despite Mutebile being a hostage of the ruling NRM government, he struggled to stabilize the shilling through printing banknotes. In 2011, Mutebile sold $20 million into the forex market to stabilize the shilling, which was sinking then, noting that he would deal with speculators who he said had partly contributed to the depreciating value of the shilling against the dollar.
Despite being a highly qualified and professional personality in economics, struggled to stabilize the shilling, and to do this there was a necessity for printing of banknotes. That extra printing of banknotes, of course, causes inflation, as the shilling will always be running for services and goods, after services and goods.
Amuriat commiserated with the family of the longest-serving central bank governor, but however said that his death in Kenya's capital Nairobi speaks volumes about the ailing health facilities in the country. The FDC party is also concerned about the continued abuse of some citizens' rights who have been detained without being tried in courts of law and others being denied the right to bail.
The latest being the internationally acclaimed author and member of our family, Mr. Kakwenza Rukirabasaija, who is our activist, who was kidnapped by an armed gang and kept in a torture chamber illegally for days.
Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Moving on, the governor of the Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebile, is dead. Mutebile died at Nairobi Hospital, according to an announcement made by Deputy Governor Michael Ating-Ego. He was 72. Kachanchu has more.
Mutebile was admitted to Nairobi Hospital after he collapsed due to complications related to diabetes. He had been in and out of hospital in recent years, mainly in Uganda and India, with sources at the bank pointing to diabetic-related sicknesses which have led to failing kidneys recently. Professor Emmanuel Tumusime Mutebire, a seasoned professional economist, has served as governor and the chairman of the board of directors of the Bank of Uganda since 2001 and had just started a new term of office, for which he was reappointed in 2021. He served as a secretary to the Treasury from 1992 to 2001 when he was appointed governor. By virtue of being Bank of Uganda's chief executive, Mutebire was the chief monetary, fiscal and economic advisor to the government, introducing several policies like monetary policy, inflation targeting, and many others. He will be remembered for speaking out against the government's high appetite for debt, frustrating the development of cryptocurrency in the country, among others. He is also remembered for spearheading the design and implementation of the economic reform program that restored Uganda from economic crisis of 1970s and 1980s to sound economic performance during his service as the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Since 2006, he has been a visiting professor in the Department of Economics at Makerere University and has been the Chancellor of the International University of East Africa. He will be given a state funeral and buried on Monday next week, according to the government sources.
Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. Voters in Senegal went to the polls on Sunday to elect local representatives in what many see as a test for President Macky Sall and the opposition. It's the first election in the country since last year's deadly riots after opposition leader Ousmane Sonko was arrested.
Amadou Mansour, a local elector, said that it was very important for him to go and do his duty because they are talking about the municipality, adding that it is up to them to choose someone who is ready to work for the municipality, someone who is ready to accompany them for the next 5 years. Another local elector, Sadaba, added that he is happy to have voted because it is an act of citizenship and it is up to them to elect mayors to have a clean and well-maintained municipality. Around a third of Senegal's 17 million people are eligible to vote. The poll takes place 5 months ahead of a general election, the first since Macky Sall was re-elected in 2019.
A court in South Africa has heard a bid by indigenous people seeking to halt the construction of Amazon's African head office on a sacred site outside Cape Town. The project is being built on land that Khoisan communities hold as sacred. Speaking in representation of the developers, a lawyer said that Amazon would drop the project already under construction if the delay was granted. Several Khoisan groups have thrown their support behind the project after the developers agreed to build a heritage, culture and media center that will be operated by indigenous groups. Other groups, however, want the construction to be halted. For one of their representatives, the main issue is protecting traditional heritage. Zenzile Khoisan, chairman of the Western Cape First Nations Initiative, said that they will give not only this generation but the 7 generations into the future for which they are responsible something tangible to hold on to in the process of finding the pathway to restoration and restitution and recognition of First Nations people. Besides the rights of indigenous people people, the court challenge also questions the environmental approvals obtained for the site. Director Cormac Chilinan of Chilinan and Associates, instructing Anthony applicant, said that in essence their argument is that the cultural heritage rights, particularly of indigenous people, are being infringed by this construction and that it ought to be stopped until such time as the court has decided on the validity of the authorizations which permit it. Last year, city authorities approved the construction of a 9-story business and residential complex on the site of a former golf course.
Away from that, Ivorian Prime Minister Patrick Achi announced the launch of a vast social aid plan on Saturday during a visit to the north of the country. We have more on this story.
The Ivorian Prime Minister's plan covers the regions bordering Mali and Burkina Faso, where jihadist groups are trying to recruit young people. The visit to the town of Togbo took place under high security and heavy military presence. Ivorian president said that they all know that the deepest cause of most crises and instability in their subcontinent is idleness, which someone said is the mother of all vices. He added that idleness pushes certain despairing young people attracted by mirage of easy gains to carry out destabilizing acts. Patrick Achi added that these acts they are implementing will today and in the months to come allow all these young people and all the women to build a decent life and well-being through having access to basic social goods and durable insertion into professional life. Togbo said its surroundings have experienced several extremist attacks and the region is classified as a red zone.
The head of Guinea's military junta, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, named on Saturday the members of the National Transitional Council.
The 81-member legislative body of the National Transitional Council will decide when civilians will return to power. Civil society activist Dr. Kanso Karuma was appointed president of the National Transitional Council. The members of the National Transitional Council represent all the country's social professional organizations as well as political parties. Colonel Doumbouya, who became transitional president on 1st October 2021 after overthrowing President Alpha Conde, has pledged to hand over power to civilians after elections but has not yet mentioned a deadline for this transition. The Economic Community of West African States insists on the need to respect the 6-month deadline for holding elections and urges the Guinean authorities to quickly submit a timetable for this.
Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, a touring exhibition dedicated to American rapper and actor Tupac Shakur opened this Friday in Los Angeles. Tupac Shakur died in 1996 at the age of 25 years old.
The exhibition We Make When I'm Free explores the life and legacy of the artist, considered to be amongst the most prolific in hip-hop of his generation. Aaron Sachs, president of Kinfolk Management, who is working with the Shakur estate, said that they wanted to be able to give context to who Tupac was preconceived notions. He said that 25 years of media, 30 years of media shows one side as we know. While speaking to the media, Aaron Sachs said that not only the Tupac's lyrics, but who he was as a man and the things that he was speaking about, both in writing poetry as a child, the poetry that became songs as a young man, and obviously his legacy since his passing 25 years ago. He added that they built that space really as a way to honor him and what he means as a true revolutionary spirit. The exhibition also features a space dedicated to Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, a former Black Panther who inspired the work of her son. Aaron Sachs added that they are hoping that people can walk his life in his shoes through his mother's life, which again, when giving context to who he is, you have to explain who his mother was. He directed the people how to walk through her gallery and how to get to his childhood and get to see the beginnings of where he starts to write his poetry. The exhibition contains handwritten lyrics, poetry, music and clothing, as well as items related to his campaigning as an activist.
In our health news today, Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Chris Baryomunsi, has said that as the country fully reopens, the 7 p.m. curfew on borders should be strictly observed, as it is not just a COVID issue.
Baryomunsi, who is also the cabinet spokesperson, said that the issues of border is complicated and they should work within stipulated guidelines until further notice. The ICT minister said that the curfew for the border is both a COVID-19 related and security issue, and urged them to maintain the curfew from 7 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. The country, as per President Museveni's address on December 31st, 2021, is expected to fully reopen starting Monday, January 24th, 2022, with all other areas that were still under lockdown reopening fully. The 7 p.m. nationwide curfew was also lifted by the president for every sector of the economy, apart from borders, which he had said should not work in the cover of darkness. Several stakeholders and members of the civil society in recent weeks called for the 7 p.m. curfew on border to be lifted, saying that it is not fair for the riders. The minister, however, asked riders and the whole border community to take heart, saying that the cabinet will consider their concerns and decide soon. Baryomunsi also cautioned the rest of the sectors which have been reopened to take action and follow all the necessary standard operating procedures because COVID-19 is still with us.
And finally, in our sports news today, Burkina Faso and Tunisia became the first countries to qualify for the quarterfinals at AFCON 2021 tournament in Cameroon. Burkina Faso eliminated Gabon 7-6 in post-match penalties after normal time had ended 1 goal apiece. Kachanchu reports.